Financial Closing Cockpit in S/4HANA 1909. The S/4HANA Financial Closing Cockpit supports you in planning, automatic execution, and monitoring financial closing tasks. There are 3 apps you can use. Manage Task Templates to create templates for closing. Release Closing Cockpit task lists to release a closing task list for a certain closing date. Process closing tasks to execute the task list and track its status. So let's start by creating a closing task template. Enter a template ID up to 10 digits and select a type of a closing hierarchy. Usually you will select 1 if you have 1 controlling area and several company codes, or 2 if you have several controlling areas to close. Enter a user ID which is responsible for managing this template. Select your leading factory calendar and the time zone you plan to use for your closing tasks. Check also if other optional fields are relevant to you. The closing structure will be created according to the hierarchy type you selected. Here you see the company Argon, for which we will prepare a closing template. Within the template, you may create several task groups for different business process areas or different departments. Within the task group, we will create tasks in the order of their execution sequence. Here is an example for product cost controlling and material ledger areas. When you create a new task, you assign a name for the task and a user who's responsible and one who will execute the task. Each task can have its own responsible person and executor. In our case, this is the same user. Select Job as a task type if you want the task to be executed automatically when scheduled. Check whether other task types are applicable for you. You must assign a program name and a program variant for each job. The program variant contains parameters relevant to the execution of the program. If you don't have any variants yet, you can create them in this step. You have further options to specify your task. If certain tasks are critical and need special attention, you may assign them to a critical path. In this way, you can create as many tasks as you need and assign them to one or several users. We have created 7 tasks in our task group Product Cost Controlling and Material Ledger. Now we can specify the dependencies between the tasks. This will help to automatically schedule and execute tasks in a certain order and block the execution of tasks whenever their predecessor tasks are not completed. Here you see the predecessor and successor dependencies for all tasks. Our task group is now ready and we will assign it to the closing template created in the first step. Based on this template, you can create periodic task lists for each closing period. They will be used to execute the closing. For a periodic task list, you specify the key date, usually the last day of a closing period, the closing type, for example, month-end or year-end closing, the fiscal year, and the responsible main user. Per default, a periodic task list will be created with the status not released, and the responsible user can release it later via the app Release Closing Cockpit Task Lists. Alternatively, it can be released immediately in the step and is directly available for execution. Once the task list is released, you can schedule the execution. In the app Process Closing Tasks, you can track the task execution. Here you see that the first and the last tasks are already successfully completed, as there were no dependencies between them. And the second task, the successor of the first task, is currently in progress. Under Output Logs, you can see the results for completed tasks. The job log and spool output can be analyzed here. If tasks are not processed successfully, you can see under Output Logs which errors have occurred and which objects are not processed due to errors. Once the errors are fixed, you can restart the task in the app Process Closing Tasks. If it will run without errors, all successor tasks will be automatically executed. Finally, our task list has been successfully processed and spool outputs with results have been generated.